Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Michael's Corner. Um, I am interviewing tonight is Jared Thumb. Um, he has requested to be on Michael's Corner because it's been a while since he's been on to my show. And he tells me that he had a lot going on since our last interview. So, wrestling fans, Um, you guys can follow me on social media. Facebook is Michael's Corner, Twitter apps, or wherever the hell you guys want to call it these days. Um, at Michael Pam. And YouTube is Michael's Wrestling Channel. So check out my social media, and whatnot, and that's it. So let's not waste any time. So, Jerry, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty darn good, actually. Before you and me got on here, I'm actually watching the '98 Royal Rumble.
Oh wow. Well, thanks for making me look old. So, so there's there has been a lot of things going on with you since our last interview.
Oh, yes, there's been a lot that has happened since then. I mean, it's been kind of a roller coaster ride, as you would say, um, especially with wrestling, because a lot of since I got interviewed by you, it my career kind of went up to where it's been now, and I've done a lot
Hmm. So,
around everywhere that I can. Like Wisconsin, I've done a lot. Yeah, so I mean, hang on one second here.
yeah, take your time.
Yeah, so I mean, Wisconsin, I became the champ up there at No Regrets Wrestling, became the heavyweight champ up there. Central Empire Wrestling last year, I went into a match with a guy named Damian Saint, which they finally just posted on YouTube. Everybody says that is the match stealer of the entire show. And to me, that's a pretty big honor just because the fact that we brought in one of my top five favorite wrestlers, Kurt Angle, was on the show. Like he was there signing, he did a promo and everything. It meant a lot to have somebody that I could look up to as a wrestler there and people to be like, that was match of the night. Because we were against the odds with the steel cage match as the main event. I remember going into that match kind of with a chip on my shoulder. I had a lot of personal stuff going on in my life at that point. And, it was kind of one of those things like I don't care what's going on. Everything that's happening in my life right now does not matter. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be the best I can. And the photographer who goes all over Iowa, he out of 23 matches, the top 23 that he goes to multiple promotions in Iowa, he ranked my match and Damien Saint's match number 3 on his list. So
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty big to me, honestly.
Um, can you tell us the name of that photographer that goes around Iowa?
Yeah.
See
Yep.
that, please?
It's yeah, it's tag team photography. Um, his
Okay.
actual name is Clint Dye. So he does this stuff. You can probably find it on Facebook or Instagram. And I mean, I almost said Twitter, but it's X now. I'm still not used to that. I'm the
Oh,
one guy of this generation that's not used to that. It's
Oh,
just kind of strange to me.
yeah. Strange to me too. Okay, continue on. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're all good. So, I mean, I would say the wrestling career is definitely sparked up with like not only my knowledge of like knowing like what to do in my persona, but also like my personal life outside of wrestling has also kind of sparked up as well as like I mean lots of announcements and relationship stuff as well, which is pretty near and dear to my heart, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like one of those things that's like something you wouldn't expect to happen, but it happens because there's a reason behind it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, since our last interview, you've been wrestling a lot in like
Mhm.
winning championships, whatnot. And have you had a match against with JT Energy?
Actually, now that I think about it, our last interview, I'm pretty sure I did have a match with them. I did have one last year, not,
Mhm.
well, 2 years ago, technically. Still not used to the 2023, 2024, but 2022, me and him faced off at Wake Brewing at SCW Pro, and he picked up the victory on me there, but he had to pull the tights to do it there. You know, that little, oh, I still got you, thumb. You almost had me, but I still got you. It was that little bit of like, oh, but I still stunnered him at the end, so he didn't get away with it
Oh,
cleanly.
and basically, I messaged him on Facebook telling him that I was going to interview you tonight, and he sent me that heart emoji. So,
Yeah, so I mean, him and I have that competitive like relationship in the wrestling business now. It's like we know what level he's at and I know what level I want to be at and we're always striving to like, push each other to that next level. Even if it cross paths like between me and him, if we cross paths in the ring, we're going to bring out the best in each other. Like JT Energy and I have probably had I would say the most matches one on one in my career has been against him
um,
still. And this will be year 7, and I'm still saying he's probably the guy I've faced the most in my career.
okay. I'm going to ask you this, Jared. What is your goal for 2024 in the wrestling?
We're going with the we're going with the big questions already, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 2024. So 2023, I not only defended my title at No Regrets Wrestling, had the match of the year in Hardcore War, and retained my title up there in Wisconsin, but also stole the show at Central Empire Wrestling for a grudge match. There was no disqualifications with Damian Saint. My biggest goals this year would be is to still be making No Regrets Wrestling a big, make it known because Jared Thun goes to that promotion in Wisconsin. But my biggest goal this year is Central Empire Wrestling. I don't have many people gunning for me. And if you paid attention to kind of the character change, I'm incorporating that. I love hunting. I love hunting outside of wrestling and everything. Jared Thumb is hunting for gold. Jared Thumb is hunting for that Central Empire Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. And right now, the guy that holds it, as we're doing this right now, is JT Energy.
Oh, wow.
So the paths may cross again, but this Saturday they have a show, and he's going against my former tag team partner, who just turned his back on me and turned his back on all the fans. Rapid Delivery Rory Fox. So it could be Rory Fox too. It could be anybody. And that is the one thing that I'm gunning for this year.
Mhm. Yeah, and don't forget, you gotta make your trip to Minnesota because
I,
they they gotta see who Jared Thumb is. And with
I
this,
may, you go ahead. I may know some people that may bring Jared Thumb up. I got a couple of guys that went up to a place up in Thief River and are pretty big on guys that come from my school, and I may have some connections. So Jared Thumb may be there in 2024, but we'll have to see with my schedule, as there's there's a lot going on this year.
okay, we'll get we'll get to that in a we'll get to that in a minute because I want to save that big one because I already
Yeah.
know it on you posted on Instagram, and I know what it is, but we're gonna get to
Mm-hmm.
that in a minute. All right. So your goal is to face JT Energy for the title, and if you win, if it was up to you, who would you like your first title defense to be if it were up to you?
At Central Empire Wrestling, if I had to pick my first title defense, if I had to pick a guy that I had to defend it to, if I get the championship at any point and earn that, now, aside of me last year in that grudge match at Bridge City Slam 5 that I didn't know existed. And I brought out a pretty vicious side of him that I don't think he thought existed. And me and him, like, we brought out the best in each other. And it's still talked about to this day that we stole Bridge City Slam 5. They just posted the match on the Central Empire Wrestling YouTube, and they have a couple of stuff already posted as well. They all have like 100 or so views. Me and Damien Saint, we pushed over 400 views in a couple of days.
Wow.
And for like independent wrestling, like promotions that don't go internationally or anything like that, like for the state of Iowa and wrestling fans' sake, that's pretty good. Like within a couple of days, like that, I I don't ring my bell as much as I like to. I always like to push myself to be better than where I was the day before. So when we got to that point of like, oh, people actually really like this match. Like people said it that night, and I thought it was a good match. But as it kept getting talked about throughout the year, I was like, we must have done something really, really special if people are still talking about it. And it's been Bridge City Slam was in June of last year, and people are still talking about it to this day, which is to me, it's pretty nuts to have people still be like, that match was absolutely brutal and just it was everything it needed to be for that show.
So, all right. So my next question to you now, now is the big one. I know, I know in our last interview, we talked about, you know, you had cancer and whatnot, and you was able to defeat it and get into remission and whatnot.
Hmm.
So, um, you're gonna be a father, am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Gonna
gotta
gonna be
tell
a
me,
dad.
you gotta tell me, dude, what, what, when you heard the news that you're gonna become the father, I gotta know what was your thoughts, man. You
So,
got what
so
was
it's a pretty good story because I mean, it actually pertain the cancer story kind of carries over into it a little bit. So when I had cancer, I got told my fertility rate may not be as likely to have children, which is for somebody like me, I was just kind of like, man, that that really, it kind of sucks to hear that because I always pictured myself, kind of just being this hardworking man that would raise his kids to be the best they can absolutely be. Um, this year, I get in a relationship with a woman who has two kids already, and playing. I'm like, in my head when I was younger, I didn't know if I could see myself being a stepfather as much, but also at the same time, I'm 26 now, and there's certain things that you can see in a person that just makes it click right away, and there's certain things you see in life that's like this is just the right move to do. This is the right thing to do. So me and her been together, and so one day I get a message from her, and she sends me pregnancy test that's faintly positive. And I was kind of confused at first. I wasn't real. I was confused, but I was also kind of like a false positive, false positive. She sends me another one, and it's getting darker, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to believe this. So I get there. She sends me another one the same day. It's even darker at this point, and I'm like, don't they have one? Don't they have pregnancy tests that say the actual word not pregnant and pregnant? Yes. Venmoed her money, had her get one of those. Before I came home from work, she took it and said pregnant. So at that point, I get home. Uh, a lot of emotions was already going through my mind because I've been told this whole time, I don't know. They don't know if I can be a father, from that aspect. But having it happen now is also like it's surreal for sure. And it's also like I went this whole time not knowing if I can have children of my own. And everything happens for a reason is one thing I believe in. And I tell you right now, from how my life was before and it is to now, everything has definitely happened for a reason. And my life right now is, I can absolutely say it's perfect. Like we're pretty, we're pretty far along in the pregnancy, and we just announced the gender today. Actually,
oh
she
wow.
announced the gender, and yeah. So I don't know if you want to hear what the gender is, because you might see it, but also I'm also like, do you want to hear what the gender of this kid
Oh my
is?
God. Oh my God. You hear it first on Michael's Corner. Woo. Go ahead.
Well, Jared Thumb is going to have, I guess that we haven't picked out a name yet, but we'll say a Jared Thumb Jr. It's going to be a boy. So
Oh my goodness.
it's
Oh
going,
my goodness. Wow. Yep, you gotta bring that legacy.
the funny, I've known for a while, and the last ultrasound she did, we're already looking at the pictures. And I'm looking at kind of how his head's shaped. And I'm like, oh my God, he's got head. I got a big, like, rectangular head and everything. And I know, I know when my mom was having me, I was a 10-pound baby. I'm like, oh no, this is going to happen to her.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, you just take good care of her. That's all I ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. I
That's
had, yeah, Jerry, I
one
had to ask you that question.
thing I've definitely been about since been a nap and everything. It's for a majority of men out there, like I made a post about it earlier this month. Us as men don't realize how much women actually have to go through in the pregnancy process over us. I mean, my girlfriend had to get an amniocentesis done, and the needle is probably about as big as my hand.
Holy
And they
shit.
had to stick it in her stomach and get cells. Yeah, like they had to pull like fluid out of that area to make sure the baby is healthy and everything. It's because we're carriers for CF, cystic fibrosis. She's a carrier and I'm a carrier. They're making sure he didn't have it, and we got the results back. He's perfectly healthy, but at the same time, that thought in my head is this kid is already his father's son, trying to scare his family a little bit, going through kind of that type of stuff already. And it's definitely a process with the coming months. And when it happens, I know I'm going to be taking some time off from wrestling for like a month at least, you
Yeah,
know.
yes, definitely. Definitely. Because you gotta take care of that baby once it's born. And you gotta be there for your girlfriend. But she'll be going through some stuff too. It's like
Yes.
you said, we as men, we don't know what women can go through after giving birth and whatnot, you know. You know what I mean, Jerry?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, so it's funny because the more I think about it, I've been poked with every like needle you can think about as a cancer survivor, but pregnant women can get poked with just about as many needles as a cancer fighter and everything. It's like it's it's honestly good for me because I can actually relate to it. I know, like I said, she has two kids of her own right now. I mean, I can hear them playing upstairs right now. I'm in the basement, so they don't come on down and disturb me right now. But she's had to get C sections, and I know this one's going to have to be a C section. So she's told me how that process goes, and I had to watch a video about it, and I'm like, ooh. And the more you see it, it's like evolution of like how human nature is, like having a baby and everything like that. It's absolutely wild to see the process and everything. It's just watching how the baby grows and seeing the movements change, the heart rate. We're about to the weeks of when the baby can finally start hearing. Studies say like the baby can hear your voice, the mother's voice, and everybody else's voice around,
Wow.
which is absolutely still nuts to me.
Wow. Wow. So I guess you told me about this joke before. I guess you gotta replace those beer bottles that you always buy, and you gotta replace it with baby bottles. I remember you messaging
Oh,
me on Instagram.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know why I haven't made. So, little teaser for you. There's a new Jared Thumb logo actually coming out, and it's an evolution of the character, but I didn't incorporate the baby bottles in it yet. This one is just the evolution of the character. I think as soon as he's born, I'll probably figure something out for sure. Because could you imagine a Dirt Thumb T-shirt? Me holding the bottle up instead of a beer can, just kind of like, oh
Oh
man,
man.
just kind of like,
Oh man. You tickle me right there. Oh, oh, yeah.
oh shoot,
So yeah. Yeah, that's a little teaser right there for ya. So yeah. So, oh my God, thank you for sharing the news with me and, and whatnot, because, oh my goodness, yeah, I had to ask you that question because, yeah, 'cause it's been a long road for you,
Mhm.
so, um, so what, what else have you been up to? So now like you're wrestling and whatnot. What else have you been up to?
outside of wrestling and uh, playing, trying to prepare to be a dad. I mean, a lot of people don't know a lot of what the wrestlers do outside of wrestling. Sometimes, excuse me. I picked up two like warehouse jobs right now outside wrestling to make more money. I'm also thinking about getting into like the union, like pipe fitters and plumbers and stuff like that, which is nice because there's a lot of them that'll still work with you and let you be a wrestler on top of it. Um, I went hunting last year and sat out in the cold for a little bit. It was actually probably it was way warmer than it was in 2022 when I went back out um, hunting for the first time in years. It was actually a lot warmer last year, and I managed to get a deer for the family. Haven't gotten the meat back for it, unfortunately, yet. I'm really looking forward to getting the meat back from that deer I got because like the feeling I had when I was able to get that deer was just knowing that it's going to be able to put food on the table and everything, and that knowing I did this was it, it's almost like a feeling that's like irreplaceable because you went out, you did the work, and you sat there for countless of hours waiting for that opportunity to be like um I don't consider myself like I consider myself religious, but I don't consider myself hardcore religious, pushing it on people. I consider it as like a gift from God. Just sitting there, like, thinking in my head, like, Lord, if you could provide me with an opportunity to provide food for my family in this moment, I would appreciate it. And like the picture perfect scenario, um, I don't know if you heard any hunting stories on any of your podcasts. I'll tell you one right now. So I'm going into a deer stand where we call code name Denny's Lane. Going in through a cattle pasture, past a whole bunch of cows. They're just staring at me, kind of like, "We see you, dude. What are you doing?" So I just walked past all these like cows, and I think they're all heifers, so they weren't going to charge me. I'm working down by a creek, get in the stand, and I'm working slowly so I don't make that much noise. I finally get in the stand. I stand there for about 10 minutes, and then about three deer come out. There's two young ones. I mean, they're past a year or 2 years. They're pretty big. Then there's this one mature doe that's like, it would be good for my. I have two tags. I have a buck tag and I have a doe tag. She would be one to fill that tag. They're about 10 yards to my right, and a tree stand right next to me. I start getting up to try and like point my shotgun down. They sensed movement. They did not see me. They worked back because they were anxious, and I worked around the creek area, which I still have perfect view. It's just behind me at this point. So I'm watching this doe as she finally worked herself in the front. She's about 40, 45 yards from me, gets in a clearing, and, and I'm right on her. And then the deer stops because that's like a call for a deer. She stops, she looks, and I took the shot. I thought I missed because like the year before I had a very unsuccessful deer hunting season because I think I heard a little backstory to the shotgun I was sent out with hunting was off anyways. So I was just kind of like, so I kind of just got sent out here not knowing if I was going to get a deer or not.
Mhm.
So I go, I'm watching her run, and I'm like, I missed. Sure as hell, I see her try and jump over a freaking stamp, tree stump, and I see her fold over. I'm like, ooh, about an hour of finding her because I'm not very good at tracking still at this point, but I found her and she was down, and where I took it and everything, it was probably the most picture perfect like shot you could take, which is like really good for being a hunter because like if there's good hunters out there, if you're going to go out there and do that, you want to do it the most perfect way you can out of respect of the animal, but also respect just for nature. It's like conservationists, you want to protect nature, but you also want to know that you're doing this out of kindness for living. It's like definitely something you got to think about more in depth than just thinking about like people that think, oh, this is so fun to do. Nah, I go out there because it's
Mhm.
in my nature, and I I honestly love sitting there and just listening to all the nature around me. Like it's a whole different world out when you go into sunrise to actual sun comes. Like God, forget how beautiful the world actually is. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Hmm. Thanks for telling that hunting story of yours. Wow. Wow. Yeah, in all my episodes of Michael's Corner, um, never heard a hunting story. So you'll that's the first. So and I'm sure that all my subscribers on YouTube will love to hear that story and whatnot. I just want to mention this right quick to the you know to my YouTube audience. Jared
Mhm.
thought you know he he now some people's internet connection may be not that best in the world. So if you hear like you know any difficulties with like if he keeps cutting off or whatnot, I just want to rest assure you that he's down the basement and whatnot, and some people don't get the best internet connection. So I just want to point that out to everyone.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I mean, I live out in the sticks, as people call it, just out in the middle of the country, just where everybody's like friendly neighbors to each other. That's exactly where I live. That's
Yeah,
the type of neighborhood you live in.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just want to get that out there so like everyone can, everyone is fully aware, so I won't get that comment. Oh, he keeps cutting off and blah 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 blah. You know how these people on YouTube is, we want the best quality videos and blah 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 blah. I said, you know what? And I keep telling my audience, not all of my interviews that I do will be the best quality interviews their, you know, what you call, of their requests or whatnot, or their expectations and whatnot. So I keep telling people like that.
Yeah, I mean, some expectations can be set pretty high on certain things. I know I set my expectations pretty high when I go out and wrestle. And if I feel like I'm off, I instantly think I had a bad match. Um, Last night was a example of that. I did wrestle at SCW Pro last night in a tag match, and it felt okay and everything, but just like it was the first match back. I think it just like felt kind of off a little bit in my mind, and it was just something to think about in my mind as myself as a performer. Just like okay, what felt off? Uh, it's definitely the person inside of me that's breaking down. I'm in that point in my career is like I'm gonna pick everything apart that I can to make sure it's like, okay, what can I do better this time? what can be done better this time. Just going out and doing everything at the top level of prestige of like any wrestler can be to bring the best out in anybody I face anywhere, whether that be in Kansas, whether that be in Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, hell, maybe Minnesota this year. I mean, I'm getting around the Midwest pretty well. And I mean, I'm going on year 7, and I don't see my career stopping anytime. We've already discussed, like, nobody wants a half-assed version of me. If wrestling's still my passion, we're going to accept the fact that Jared loves wrestling and is going to do that. Is there going to be a couple of kids crying because they see their dad get their ass kicked a little bit from some people? Yes, that's actually happened a couple of times. My stepkids saw it and they didn't like the fact that I literally lost a match in front of them. Oh, I was
Yeah,
pretty. It was pretty brutal, but
yeah. And I could tell you,
everybody wants everything to be perfect.
yeah, and I could tell you this from experience, because I'm not a wrestler. I'm just a fan and whatnot, and an interviewer. Like, you know, there are some emotions that fly. Um, I remember, oh shit, a couple years now it's 2024. A couple years or a year and a half ago, um, I went to a wrestling show. I don't know if you heard this wrestling promotion, Steel Domain Wrestling. Um, there's the match that I was looking forward to see. It was Kyle Pro versus then champion Derek Stone for the SCW Northern States title. I tell you, that was a good match to see. That was a good match. It was back and forth. It would have gone either way, but in the end of that match, Kyle defeated Derek Stone to become the new SCW Northern States champion. And I saw like once he got out of the ring, um, he was with all these kids and whatnot, giving him, hugs and whatnot. But once he came came my way, you know, my way, he gave me the biggest hug. And he was emotional and I got a little emotional because it's been like 5 years that he wants to win a singles title and he wants to, be the best version of him and whatnot. And I supported him throughout his wrestling career. So for him to give me the hug, like that, and there wasn't too many pe- people at the show, but he gave once he gave me that hug, I tell you, Joe, I got a little emotion because he won the title, and then when he came to the back to do that promo video, oh my God, he pulled out the best promo that I ever seen, and that's when the emotions really fine, I guess, with me because I want these wrestlers to be able to succeed and whatnot. So it could be pretty emotional. It could be pretty crazy and emotional at the same time, you know. And I've been going to wrestling shows for like almost 13 years. Been in the wrestling business for over 10. And I seen wrestlers get knocked out punches. I saw, whoa, a wrestler just getting knocked out to a point where there's an ambulance came and wow, I seen it all.
Yeah, it definitely ain't ballet for a majority of people that don't understand how wrestling exactly works. Um, One match in particular I remember last year. I'm not going to name names or anything. I remember going into this match. The person was about 4 hours late to the show. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get ready to go anyways. I go up to the person, ask them, like, are we ready to do this? Okay. Like it was just kind of like getting blown off a little bit. Finally go into the ring. And so I think everybody remembers when Goldberg dropped the Undertaker on his like head almost, crown jewel, and remembers that bump. Last year, I had my own instance with something like that. I dropped right on my neck, and I mean, I have full range of motion in my neck now, but I remember distinctly after a while after that, I couldn't move my neck very well. Took a lot of chiro appointments and everything. Um, it made me just think that same thing Taker said was like 2 to 3 inches closer. What could have happened? I could have been in an ambulance there. I could have, had my wrestling career end right there. Excuse me again. It's just kind of like one of those moments that you realize, like, you don't know when your career is going to end. And that night, it could have happened, but at the same time, it didn't happen then. But, thinking about moments that you've seen in the wrestling business, and I told you distinctly that this year I'm hunting for the Central Empire Wrestling Championship. Uh, Mainly, I know when Bridge City Slam is going to be this year, Bridge City Slam 6. I'm gunning to be fighting for the title then because my son should be here by then, and my girlfriend can be there too, and my family can be there. And what's a better picture than a man going out, getting ready to wrestle for a title that of a couple of months being there and distinctly possibly win the title. It's I know where I can stand in this business. I know one of the places that I've made myself clear and pointed myself out as this competitor that I'm willing to be is at Central Empire Wrestling. And I know there's a lot of sharks in that tank, or a lot of wolves, as you can call it, alpha male wolves. Jared Thumb is a hunter. That's the thing. Everybody wants to talk about how they're this animal that's aggressive and everything. I'm the hunter that's willing to take down these so-called predators. And that's exactly what I'm planning to do this year at Central Empire Wrestling. It doesn't necessarily matter who wants to come in front of Jared Thumb's weight. I'm going to keep gunning up for the top because I know I know what I'm capable of. You deserve enough. New design that I have coming out says if I have my sights set on you, the last thing you're going to hear is click, click, boom. You get hit with a Superman punch or thumb drive, as I call it. Everybody sees it as a Superman punch, then a stunner. Then Jared Thumb just wins. That's exactly how it goes. Like the new evolution of Jared Thumb that everybody hasn't been prepared for is the one guy that nobody wanted to admit that this is the real me. Like the more I'm in this business, the more the real side of me comes out.
Yeah. Wow. Well, like I said, I can't wait to see it like on YouTube and whatnot because you know I'll be watching the I'll be watching your matches too.
I'll I'll definitely be making sure I post them up on YouTube that I can. I mean, they have me doing a lot of stuff this year everywhere I go. Trailblazer Championship Wrestling just announced they're doing a tournament to crown their first heavyweight champion down there. I am undefeated there, and I'm in the tournament for the title. So I know we're supposed to be there in February. I don't know when the next show is. I know when my is due, and it's a couple. It's going to be the summer. So when they want to run a show, it's going to be kind of a close call. Um, so we'll see how this tournament plays out for old Jared Thumb down there if somebody ends the streak. Um, just doing all these things in my career, realizing the actual people like to say it's a paving a trail for yourself or path or anything. I like to say Jared Thumb left a big old bold thumbprint of where he's at right now.
Wow, wow, yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to see how it all plays out at the end of the day. Yeah. So, do you have any um you got anything to say to your fans before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I can always say for the fans is there's been, so I say hunting, family, and wrestling as three components that keep me going as a human being. When I say family, I'm talking about my blood and, the family I'm building. But I'm mainly also talking about the fans. Because if it wasn't for everything on top of that, I don't know where I'd be today. Because, I mean, there's been a lot of things that have happened in my life that I didn't know personally where I was mentally and everything on top of that, is just kind of that roller coaster ride. If it wasn't for the fans, I personally don't think I'd be at the point I'm at today in my career. And that is like completely coming from my heart because you look at a name as Jared Thumb and you think somebody goofy and everything on top of that. But the fans know who Jared Thumb is deep down is this guy that is willing to do anything for his fans, but is not willing to kick somebody's ass at the end of the day because he's a country boy and this is the way he functions. But to every fan that has always been there since day one, it's always a big thank you, especially for everything that's happened in my life. I can't say it enough, but thank
All right. So, where can fans follow? Um, excuse me. Where can fans find you on social media?
On Facebook, it's Jared Thumb. Twitter or X, I did it. On
There you
X, you
go.
can find me at Jared_Thumb. On Instagram, it should be Jared_Thumb. And I'm also on YouTube. You should be able to find me at Jared Thumb. And Thread, is it called Threads? I think it's called Threads. I just got on there, and it should be Jared_Thumb on there as well.
Okay. All right. Well, Jared, thank you for doing this with me. Um, and you, like I said, you're welcome to come onto my show anytime. Like if something comes up, and if you want to tell me or tell everyone, just just shoot me a message, and then we'll start this again.
Sounds good, buddy. I mean, who knows? Maybe after the birth of my son, there may have to be a conversation. Maybe next year, maybe who knows? Honestly, it can be any time. Honestly,
All right, all right. Well, you have yourself a good night. And I'll talk to you soon.
sounds good. If you think, thanks for having me.
All right, you take care.
Bye bye.
So on top of that, what a what an interview. What an interview. Jared, oh my God. Um, one of the nicest guys I ever talked to and whatnot. And he is more open. He's more open to tell everyone, about, the birth. I mean, oh, I mean the gender of his child on here never happened here on Michael's Corner, but that's a first. So wow, completely great interview, and I really hope you guys can watch the interview. Let me know in the comments what you think about the interview. So take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Michael's Corner.